Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special episode of the Wright podcast, a podcast where we dig deep into the world of finance with experts from across the globe. Today, I have one of the most special guests with me who I actually love talking to. I have Mr. Anshuman Tiwari here with me, who's an innovator, a transformer, and a simplifier, as well as an educator, all rolled into one. Mr. Anshuman, he has been on the forefront of financial transformation. He breaks down complex concepts into simple terms, and he has some amazing nuggets of wisdom. He is not only a master of the corporate world, leading in his role, but he's also generously shares his experience in managing his money through his podcast, being a LinkedIn creator, being a LinkedIn top voice, through his YouTube videos, and through his website, which is managebetter.in. Anshuman has always maintained that money is not a four-letter word, right? Money is something that you have to understand deeply and that can empower you. So we're going to understand that from Anshuman. How does he make his money work for him? We'll understand about his philosophy about money, gain insight about financial, how he managed his personal wealth, as well as the role of insurance, passive income, how he has built his portfolio that has actually empowered him. So this is going to be an excellent, amazing lesson in financial planning. And so let's get ready to understand the language of money with Mr. Anshuman Tiwari. So Anshuman, you are a unique professional. You work in quality control. You are LinkedIn top voice. You are an ASQ fellow and a mid-career coach. And you guide people about their personal finances. So we would love to hear your story from you.
There's not much story, Sonam. Firstly, of course, thank you for inviting me. This is the unusual session for me because I have never spoken too much about financial, and for the longest time I thought I was making too many mistakes to be able to speak to anybody. But then over the years I realized that I had learned from my mistakes, and B, many people were almost making the same mistakes that I had made. So almost like out of duty, and as you get a little older, Sonam, it is useful if you can share whatever you have learned. Of course, people have their own choice whether they want to follow, but during this coaching exercise or period that I have done, many people have questions related to finance or personal finance, more about investments and savings and all. So that's pretty much it. There is no story around a romantic story nahi hai. Just like everything grows with time, ये भी grow कर रहा है. And because people come to me mostly from mid-career, they usually also have financial questions. So maybe many people are living beyond their means, for example, and they are worried about it, and that puts stress on their coaching. So sometimes I've realized that जो career questions हैं, का root cause is actually in their financial mismanagement. So I did not want to be giving any kind of financial advice, but वो हो गया because the questions people have, sometimes their root cause is in financial poor management.
Even doing these simple things like managing your portfolio well, practicing frugality, which we'll talk about, आपने इतनी difference लाई अपनी life में, right?
Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, being mindful is important, Sonam. I think that is something I've learned over the years, that आप जो भी कर रहे हैं उसको थोड़ा intention and mindfulness से करेंगे, you will be able to learn something new, you will be able to utilize that learning, and life gets better. So those are both important, mindful and intentional. Mindful means, of course, take care of everything around yourself, your family, your environment. You be mindful of all the stress in the system and everything, all that. Of course, it's deeper than this. And second is intentional. थोड़ा planning जरूरी है. मतलब ये तीर तुक्का नहीं चलता है इसमें. मतलब of course somebody will invest in one stock, वो रातों रात वो double हो जाएगा. That will happen to everybody once in a while. But वो plan नहीं है. Hope is not a plan. So that is something I keep saying.
So Anshuman, we'll start by talking about, I think, one of your favorite topics, which is reality. Right? And I think you are a big fan of discounts and making sure that you're making the most out of your money, right?
Yeah.
So how would you define frugality, and why is it an important aspect of somebody's personal finance?
So firstly, frugality is a badge for me. I don't see it as like, even if the Hindi word for frugality is kanjusi, I love it because, that kanjusi can help you make some assets, can help you save and invest for your family, for your own well-being.
Right.
So as long as you are not doing it stupidly and you are actually doing it mindfully, I think it's a badge. So I wear it as a badge of honor. What is it for me? I would say that living within means and not being concerned about what will others say, लोग क्या बोलेंगे, मेरे पास 3 जूते होने चाहिए when one is enough and 4 शर्ट होनी चाहिए white when one is enough. That is being frugal and mindful for me in a simple way. And of course, it helps you save and invest because, whatever money you are not spending, it is available for saving and investment. So it is a saving. Right? So आपने 2 शर्ट खरीदनी थी, आपने एक ही खरीदी. So that is whatever 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, whatever was the amount one was spending is now available for investment. So it is directly linked actually to investment. Where will the money come from? Everybody has that same limited income जो भी उनका window है. So जो spend नहीं होगा वो invest हो सकता है या कहीं और spend हो सकता है. So these two things are deeply connected, Sonam. And many of my friends who are now lamenting at 50, I turned 50 last year, that investment proper नहीं है, हमने ये नहीं किया, उन्होंने कहा तुम आप 25 साल तो आप खर्चा करते रहे, अब 50 की एज में आपको रोना आ रहा है, तो फिर अब क्या बोलूँ मैं, अभी भी टाइम है, but so that's how I see frugality, and if we manage it well, we can invest better.
Yeah, that's an important lesson, Anshuman. And I think you also have a Lucknow connection, and I think all these people from UP have this frugality inbuilt.
Certainly, you can say that I have Lucknow and Gorakhpur connection. So
yes,
I was born in Gorakhpur. So
yeah. Oh wow, me too. Yeah. So even my family has this inbuilt. But yeah, I think after frugality you have to save as well, like you said.
Correct. So frugality is the start of the journey. कंजूसी बोल लो, जो भी बोल लो, बट वो जो पैसा आपने बचाया है फिर आप उसको कहीं और उड़ा दो, उसका क्या फायदा? तो आपको वो इन्वेस्ट करना है. सो दैट इन्वेस्टमेंट माइंडसेट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, दैट आई सेव्ड 5,000 rupees here, that 5,000 I should be able to invest.
Right. But Anshuman, you are, a professional who's working in a multinational firm, you live in a metro. So for our listeners, would you like to give some practical tips and strategies that people can adopt to, follow a frugal lifestyle?
Not too many, but I think one or two are simple ones. For example, most of us are in jobs, or people listening to this podcast later, most of us are in jobs where we will get some kind of annual bonus, or around some important like Diwali bonus or something. So whenever my team bonus is being announced or is to be announced next week or something, I actually hold most of the time, the small town hall and remind everybody that I don't want to see a shiny phone in your hand this week, right? So that is something I do very often for myself and my team and people around me. But the principle I follow is that, and this is a very common principle, that anything that you want to buy, can you buy it twice?
Right.
So आपको phone खरीदना है, but can you buy 2 phones in that? If your means are enough to buy 2 phones, 2 cars, whatever else you are going to buy, and then you only buy one, that means that you are well within your means. What worries me when people are going beyond their means. आपकी सैलरी 1 लाख रुपए है और आपका फोन भी 1 लाख रुपए का है. That is nonsense actually. I mean, there is no better word. I mean, I can be more harsh, but people will mind it. But I have actually scolded people in my teams more as an elderly and father figure that ये मत करो, because this is a habit, right? It is your money. I understand you can waste it, spend it how you want, but please don't do this because it is a habit. It will get into your system and then you will get into this buy now pay later EMI. उसका कोई अंत नहीं. So I think that number one tip only, and the only tip I can share is that ask yourself, can you buy this twice without any discomfort? Right. If you can buy it twice without any discomfort, then ek bari so, and that example one can apply at any stage of life. I do it even today. If I am buying a good shirt, I will ask myself, can I buy it twice without any discomfort? Will it pinch me? If no, then chalega. So this is one. I think usually, like I said, I don't believe in impulse buying. So many people have this. I don't have, for example, on my phone, I don't have a shopping app at all. So what I do is that I keep it in what to say wish list kind of thing. And if after a month also I still want to buy, I will buy. So ये दो तीन practical tips हैं, and I think it works for everybody. Don't keep shopping apps on your phone. Don't do impulse buying, unless of course it's very small item something. But avoid that as a habit. Helps you.
Right. I think that's an excellent tip, Anshuman, and I think that also makes a huge impact in somebody's life, right?
It does.
That the money that you save, when you need it, you will understand the value of it. So will you share an example of how this frugality has helped you in creating a positive impact?
Everyday life. So whatever I do, Sonam, I've been able to build. There is no one example, but because I've lived my life like this, and I'm very mindful about income and expense, and this has helped me build a very comfortable corpus. So if I were to retire tomorrow, I am very comfortable and confident that I have enough saving and investment to last my lifetime. And many people, of course, call it financial freedom and FIRE and other things, but FIRE is financially independent and retire early kind of concept. But even though I don't fully believe in that concept, but technically being frugal, investing mindfully, taking care of my money has made sure that I today have a decent corpus and can live the same lifestyle for another 25 years without working a day. And that is possible for everybody. But if we keep spending in the first 25 years of our career, we will not be able to maintain that lifestyle for the next 25 years, assuming that all of us, start working at 22, 25. So average lifespan in India will be around 75. तो 50 का लाइफ एक independent lifestyle. उसके पहले आप dependent हैं on parents, but there is another 50 years that you have. So in my case, not one example, but almost every day I have examples. I've been able to build assets. I've been able to build my corpus. I'm adequately insured. I have taken care of health insurance and many other aspects, which I'm happy to talk about if required. But I'm very happy about how intentionally I was able to do it. I started late. I became interested in money a little later in life, but was enough time for me to work on it and build properly. So yeah.
Well, that's an amazing story, I think. And even for me, I haven't had that much experience with you. I used to be very frugal, and when I wanted to start up, I was comfortable because I had a corpus to support myself. I think that sort of empowered me.
That's also one important thing that because you were frugal and mindful, you were able to generate that corpus and then use it in the way that you want it. That's a very important lesson. Many people mistake frugality, being mindful about saving as a way of depriving yourself. No, it is about channelizing your money in the things that you want to do. I mean, before this show, I told you that I have a professional mic which I use for it. I will not buy that kind of a thing on a daily basis, but because my work now requires me to speak on such sessions properly, I invested in it because I see that as an investment, not as spending now. But if in a normal life, that mic will be a waste because you don't need it. So, for example, I do several live sessions and other things. So I obviously have to buy those subscriptions and invest money in there. That I see as an investment. It's not a spend. And I'm able to do that because I have saved money somewhere else.
Right.
So that kind of thing. So yes, I thought I'll remind everybody.
No, so we will talk about your investment journey. I think that will be very interesting given that a lot of our audience look for investing insights. But before we go there, I think we should also talk about insurance. You talk to mid-career professionals, right?
Yeah.
So will you talk a little about insurance, what's your journey there, and what's the type of insurance policies that you think are essential for Indians?
So firstly, of course, anybody who starts working and there are people dependent on his or her income must buy term insurance early in life, right? So I don't want some 20-year-old to buy term insurance because there's nobody who's dependent on his or her income. So term insurance is extremely important, and don't mix term insurance with mutual fund investment, this, that, because the returns are very, very poor. So that is number one. everybody who started working for some years and has started or is in a phase where people are dependent on his or her income, even partially, should get into a very good term insurance plan. Second is health insurance. As we get into a family mode, there are people who are dependent on our income or support, or there is a larger family now. Health insurance is extremely important. People in India underestimate health insurance, and COVID taught us. So many people, I have seen people in my team crying, can you help me in this situation? Can you get another insurance? And I had been crying horse for years that boss, company insurance पे मत depend करो, अपना personal insurance भी रखो. I even have a personal insurance. I have a top up on that personal insurance. In spite of having been employed for so many years and my company having a very generous scheme, what if in that period I am unemployed?
Right.
I will tell you one example, Sonam. It's a amusing story, but I have changed 4 or 5 jobs. Every job I have joined on a Friday. I don't want to be unemployed, uninsured on a weekend. People call it madness, but I say, what if I get under a truck on a Saturday or a Sunday? What will happen? What happens to others can happen to us also. रोड पे लोग मरते हैं. We could be one of them, right? And when you think about family, you have to think in those. You don't get emotional about it and say, "Nee." All the people who unfortunately, sadly passed away in COVID, nobody wanted it, right? But it happened, and it happened suddenly for many people. So I know, and I still get goosebumps that I know those people. They went to hospital, did not come back.
Right.
क्या होगा आपके फैमिली का? सो इसलिए आई थिंक इंश्योरेंस सेकंड इज फर्स्ट इज टर्म इंश्योरेंस, सेकंड इज हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, देन एसेट क्लासेस लाइक योर कार, बाइक, होम insurance. This is also important, and of course car and bike is also mandatory by law, so तो उसमें तो कोई चॉइस नहीं है. बहुत सारे लोग होम इंश्योरेंस नहीं कराते हैं, तो होम इंश्योरेंस इज ऑल्सो एटलीस्ट फॉर द पीरियड वेयर यू आर गोइंग टू पे द रेंट, योर होम मस्ट बी इंश्योर्ड. क्योंकि अगर तो कुछ हो गया, घर भी गया, और यू विल कंटिन्यू टू पे द EMI फॉर दैट हाउस, because the housing loan company is not going to waive off that loan. So at least for that period you must buy a home insurance. These 3 insurance, all other insurances are bakwa. they masquerade as investment. I have, like everybody else, I have also fallen that trap many years ago, start of my career, and then I realized that the returns on them are not very good. Of course there are some insurances like under some specific sections where you get returns after 8 years, 10 years and all that, and it is a long term, so that is more like a better FD. That is okay. So I have done that, and I do recommend, if you get a good bonus, you have 5 lakhs now, that cap is 5 lakhs, above that it is tax. So those things I do but other than that, this child plan, this plan, that plan actually does not work very well. So that's my insurance gyan.
But a lot of people, I think, Anshuman, just think about insurance as something that I do to claim my taxes, to reduce my taxes, right? Or they're afraid about the premiums, right? Like if I'm buying a health insurance, then I'm obviously paying a premium on that, right? So how do you find this adequate balance between your insurance coverage and your premiums?
See, insurance must be prioritized, Sonam. I feel that balance. पहला आपको टर्म इंश्योरेंस एंड एडिक्वेट हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस को प्रायोरिटाइज करना पड़ेगा, एवरीथिंग अबव एवरीथिंग एल्स. इफ यू ट्राई एंड बैलेंस, इफ एनीबडी इज ट्राइंग टू बैलेंस, दे विल मेक द रॉन्ग चॉइस, बिकॉज बैलेंस पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. आपकी जान, आपकी फैमिली की वेलफेयर का क्या बैलेंस है विद योर इन्वेस्टमेंट? नो बैलेंस, राइट? सो सपोज आई गेट अ हार्ट अटैक, पास अवे, what is the there is no investment का उसका कुछ balance नहीं. So I always tell people who ask me this during my career coaching, or I say that prioritize it, get adequate term insurance, get adequate health insurance, and of course adequate means there has to be some practical limit, right? So there are people who do like health insurance for family of 4, only 1 lakh rupees insurance. You are living in a metro city, you go to hospital, तो एक भी छूट जाएगा. So you need some adequate, of course not overly this thing also, because you should not be planning for catastrophe, but average issues. So that I would think that there is no need to balance this. Please prioritize term and healthcare insurance, and then think of investment is my advice.
I think that's a great plan, and you have sorted out your savings by practicing frugality, and then you have assured the future income of your family by doing an insurance, right?
I've tried. So, but the proof of the pudding is when I won't be around, but I won't be around to see it. But I am quite confident that I have done well, and most of my assets are liquid. So that is also important, that you don't invest in assets that you can't, get out of, like real estate. Too much of real estate or rent property, you can't really get out of. So what's the point?
But still, I think, Anshuman, in India, if you look at young professionals, they don't prioritize insurance, right? Similarly, I think older guys, they're like, real estate khareed lo, why do an insurance?
My worry is, of course, that we are taught a lot of things, but we are not taught two very important things during our schooling and graduation. Is one is to get employed, and particularly you come from UP and I also hail from there. पढ़ाई पे बहुत जोर होता है, पढ़ लो, but पढ़ाई का करना क्या है, right? It is as if the education is the end itself. It may be for some people who are academically inclined, but for the vast majority, you have to be able to utilize that knowledge that you've earned in some way. नहीं बताते हैं. दूसरा, money is talked about like a 4-letter word. Right? I talk about this quite often, that money is not a 4-letter word. It is an important aspect of our life. Right. जब वो यारी दोस्त नहीं आते हैं, काम भी आते हैं तो उनका पैसा ही काम आता है. Right. So this is an important aspect of life, and for whatever reason, talking about money in many Indian households is seen as a taboo topic, or it's even more taboo than the so-called taboo topic. पैसे की बात ही नहीं करता है, and that is a big worry for me, that that is why youngsters actually fall in this trap of buying shiny objects, because that's how they have grown up. They don't understand insurance because उनके parents ने कभी insurance की बात ही नहीं करी है उनसे. So how will they understand, right? So all we were youngsters, you are still young, I was young at some point. We learn from our parents and role models. If our parents and role models are not doing or saying the things that imbibe, तो हम ज्ञान आएगा. कोई पेड़ के तो गौतम बुद्ध की तरह ज्ञान नहीं आएगा. तो is a bigger worry than youngsters not buying insurance, because that can be corrected. Government can bring some kind of a law that every employed person should have this insurance. That can be done, but that mindset cannot be changed unless the generational shift happens, when people. So I am making sure that I keep talking to both my sons about money adequately, and help them understand the value of money, help them understand how they can remain frugal in their own life. Of course, they are living a far more comfortable life than I did, but that is true for every generation. तो ये हमारी गलती है जो एल्डर जनरेशन है, that we have treated money as a 4-letter, and उसके बारे में कोई बात ही नहीं करेंगे तो कैसे सीखेंगे लोग?
Hey, that's an important lesson. So talking about money, I think you have, like you said, right, you have practiced frugality, you have ensured your family, right, but you have also built financial freedom for yourself, right, and you have done that through very smart investments, right? So I know some of the things that you have done, right, doing SIP for years and years, and allocating correctly. So I would love for you to talk about what are the key factors that you think people should consider when building an investment portfolio.
So one is, of course, people are fascinated with trading and not investment. So trading stories get more eyeballs, and that I believe is a specialist job. So we should stay normal people, normal as in people like me who are not financial experts, should stay away from topics where we don't, unless we have some lottery money which we want to burn away. But बाकी please trade ना पैसा मत बात करिए, because trading is very addictive. Many people I've seen, you will make some money, good money one day, वो डूब जाएगा. And then you want to make it the next day. वो साइकिल वो जुआ खेलने जैसा है. So that is one important lesson that I keep sharing, and I have also stayed away from trading of any kind, right? So firstly, I don't have the time. I have a full-time job, so I don't have the time, and secondly, I don't have the knowledge, and I don't want to pretend. So long-term investment is extremely important. So very early, many years back, I picked two sectors, BFSI and consumer thing. So I have continued to invest in BFSI and consumer, believing in the India consumption story. And I was invested for 25 years, not for 2 years. So I started investing in 1998, when that there was a 21 years mega SIP plan for 2,000 rupees per month. So in 1998, 2,000 rupees per month was a lot of money, 99 or something. Of course, I have eventually got out of that plan later on, before maturity, because it was more a mutual fund for a long-term duration. So there was no additional maturity benefit with that, right? But in terms of lessons, I would think that be investment friendly. Pick a sector that you will back for the longest, because these are cycles. Some years will be low, some years will be high, but overall it will do well. So that I think is extremely important. I think second lesson will be important is that, like, I have a mental map of 50% of my income should go into investment. So I know people who do more. I don't know people who do much less. In some phases of my life, I have done more than 50% as well. But as expenses grow, family grows, it is very difficult to meet even 50%. रखना पड़ेगा. People don't keep any goal on their जो बचत करते हैं. That's not right. You have to first invest, then I think spend. So my goal is 50%, but others can have other goals. I would say the other third is about learn where your money is, right? So don't invest blindly based on, for example, anybody listening to this today, you don't have to believe me, because I'm nobody in this field, right? I'm just sharing my experience. Please go and study what are the different things. For example, small case is a wonderful new way of investing. It is like a SIP in a stock, so almost like that. So you can of course buy stocks also with SIPs today. But and Sonam, you all have a small case, very wonderful small case, several actually. So unless you find out as an investor, you learn about small case, make a small investment, see how it works, understand about it. So that I tell everybody, and I have also followed it. Small case में मैंने बहुत छोटा सा पहले investment किया था. I just wanted to understand how does it work, and then I realized that you need expert advice. So then I started paying the subscription fee also, because I realized that unless you hire an expert, this is not going to work. So it is like hiring a mutual fund person in a specific stock portfolio. So third one was that learn about it. Don't leave it to chance, or don't leave it to WhatsApp. WhatsApp तो बंद ही कर देना चाहिए. जिसको investment WhatsApp thing बंद कर देना चाहिए, because that is the most ridiculous. People share what not, and there is no responsibility, accountability, nothing. भी share करते हैं.
So I don't think in this day and age, somebody learning from WhatsApp can make a difference. But definitely, I think your portfolio right now would be the example that they should be showing in, financial planning books, right?
I don't know about that, but there are quite a few people. Some of my friends have followed the same path or similar path, and they are very comfortable. But
I totally agree with you.
I also know that there are many of my close friends who did not, follow that path. And like I said earlier, but ऐश कर जुर्माना कौन भरेगा? You will have to pay that price, right? So that is extremely important, and our life is not our life, it is our family's life as well. So that responsibility we cannot move away from.
So Anshuman, apart from stocks, do you diversify your investment across other asset classes also? And will you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, in the last 5 years I have tried. I have put money in sovereign gold bond every other year or so, whenever it opens. This year it has opened a couple of times already. So I do invest sizable amount, usually around bonus time when I get some money. And I am debt free. So for many years I am debt free. No debt, no plans to get. If I buy the next car, it will be without debt. But asset classes, I think gold is one asset class, real estate is one asset class. So of course I have the house that I stay in, but I have one more, which I don't advise to everybody. It is a personal choice, because financially, if you see, living in the house that you purchased is the wisest decision in the longer term. Buying too many other properties may not be a wise decision unless your business itself is buying and selling and renting out properties. So there are people who do that, and that is fine. That is their business. But as an individual, I don't believe too many apartments or houses or makes sense. So real estate, gold, long-term FDs is, you can say some kind of asset class. And of course, within stocks, mutual funds, stocks, I pick my own stocks, mutual funds, and then small cases. In mutual fund, I try and make sure that I am diversified as well. So large, small, mid cap, Then now there are multi-asset classes, mutual fund as
Right.
well. So I do keep diversified, but I don't buy too many, right? So I rather pick one. So for the last 2-3 years, I am trying to buy within like a stock basket of 10, 12 to 15 stocks.
Right.
And target is that each one should get to 10 lakhs investment. So if we keep that in mind, then you are reducing your risk because you are buying good stocks and you are buying on dips. So when you are buying on dips, which for your audience, if people don't get, you buy when a good stock goes well below the expected price, you
Right.
buy because you believe in that stock, and then it will revert back in some time. As long as you don't need money tomorrow, it is okay to invest for 3-4 months, 6 months, that kind of. So
Right.
this is my diversification. Nothing very fancy, Sonam, but I
Yeah.
have made conscious choices to diversify. The only I think areas like commodities and all and futures and options I have not tried, but
Yeah.
that needs a little more knowledge, and I don't have that.
Definitely.
अगर किसी को
Now,
कुछ भी नहीं
Anshuman,
आती में ही
हाँ,
इन्वेस्ट कर दो, so
हाँ.
5 years Nifty itself will give you, but don't invest and start seeing Nifty every day. It's not going to change. In fact, so I know people, very close
Yeah.
people. Last month किया था वो Nifty monthly तो गया, और उसमें क्या है? But look at it after 5 years. So
Yeah, but at least invest. Don't put that money in your saving account,
correct.
because
That doesn't make
not
sense.
good. Okay, Shuman, will you talk about your best investment decision that you have taken that has given a significant return, and what was your learning from that experience?
The best investment decision, so career-wise, is in upskilling, right? So I will leave that. Your question is about financial, right? So I think two I can cite. One I can cite where I missed out, and two I can cite where I did well. So one I missed out was when, and you might have been too young, but when the Vajpayee government fell and Manmohan Singh became Prime Minister, the stock market crashed. I was in Indonesia at that time, and for that week I was on a consulting visit. I was telling anybody who cared that buy now, and this was 2004, I think, 3 or 4. Yeah. So the market was abysmal, but I just could not, and by the time I was back, it had started pulling back, and I did not have the money or the courage then to buy. So that is one opportunity I missed, which I regret to the date. Because उसमें अगर एक बार डाला होता तो वो मतलब 1 करोड़ रुपया होगा होता. That kind of investment. So that was a huge miss. In spite of fully understanding the macroeconomics of the situation, I could not invest for two reasons. One, I was away. Two, when I got back, I just did not have the courage because markets had started pulling back significantly by then. The other two investments that I am proud of, one is property I got out of recently, which I stayed invested for about 10 years. I made about 10 times. So that I think, but the important thing is to get out, right? So like in career, you cash out only when you get out. So people don't this notional value of Sensex being this much and Nifty being this much has no value unless you are able to exit or cash out from a particular situation. So if you are not able to cash out, then उस पैसे का कोई The third one is during COVID. First wave of COVID, when market significantly tanked, I bought many blue chip shares which had dropped by. I don't want to talk about money because my wife might be seeing this episode later on, but I took a huge bet and everything doubled in 3-4 months, 6 months, and it has been growing since then. So I think that was the moment when I realized that this is the same, or not same, but similar moment to that, government falling moment. And this time I am in India, I have the money. I will never be able to excuse or pardon myself to miss this opportunity. So I think that I am quite having a point of view is of no use if you can't act on it. So So
this means that you understood the nature of markets. You saw the opportunity, and you simply took it. And I think a lot of people actually got interested in the market during the 2020 crash, right? Seeing that value.
But some people like me, and I'm not saying I was overly smart or anything. I was just there, and because that incident had happened once in my career already, I was very mindful that ये दोबारा होगा. So in terms of crash, right? So of course, this crash was nothing compared to the previous one. That was a huge crash, right? So people would have made 4 or 5 times their money in 6 months, 1 year.
Right.
So, but this time it was very clear that This is obviously a small black swan moment. It will go, and why not?
Yes, great. I think, investing diligently, diversifying, and, having a plan really makes a difference. Anshuman, you also talk a lot about financial freedom, right? A lot of your content revolves around mid-career professional and how they can become, more free by managing the financials well. And I think passive income plays an important role there, right?
Yeah.
So, what is your call there? Like, how important is passive income, and how does it contribute to somebody's financial freedom?
So one thing I keep telling everybody is that if we see data from 2000, so let us say we are in 2025, 25 साल में, in 25 years, life expectancy of an average Indian has gone up by 10 years.
Right.
Right. So somebody at the turn of the century, an average Indian was expected to live for 62 years. Now that number will be, in 1 year time, it will be 10 साल. And we are the privileged ones. We live in cities. We have access to nutrition. We have access to healthcare. We can take care of our lives as we get older. So we will possibly take the average to 75 or 80. We, first of all, we will need to live longer. We will need to live at a higher living standard for longer. The expectation in money wise will be much higher. वो कहाँ से आएगा पैसा? Right. So this my generation is probably is the first generation which is not going to get, my generation plus minus 10 years is the first generation that will not get any government benefit, no pension. So हमको अपना pension खुद ही बनाना है. Pension is not going to be enough. So you will need some kind of continued income. So more than passive income, I talk about continued income. That are you able to generate some kind of mechanism which will keep giving you some income over many years.
Right.
So passive income is one way, which is basically saying that you invest in a way आप सो रहे हो बन रहा है, right? So which is basically investment. So just for this simple reason that we will all live on an average a healthy life till 75 and more, and most of us will retire by 55, 60. So 20 साल who's going to fund our retirement? So there is a financial prudence or intelligence, or you can say compulsion, that aapko to make our life comfortable or to allow us to spend the way we want, that is important. Second aspect is that some people want to retire early and follow their passion and do something that they wanted to do, which I have great respect for that, but not at the cost of any financial distress to the family and themselves. So what can happen only when from 25 to 40, if you have saved enough to build a corpus, at 40 you can take a chance and do something that you wanted to do. किसी को खाना बनाना है, किसी को कुछ company खोलना है, something of that kind, or somebody wants to teach or do art or something. They can do only if they have that passive income cushion. So passive income, in my view, is no longer passive. The passive word should be retired actually. It is active income. So, what is passive in it? We should be able to see it as a key part of our portfolio. And income is one part of your portfolio. All this is other parts of your portfolio in my view. For example, I invest heavily in dividend stocks.
Right.
Even if the stock price does not go up, I get that dividend during the year or every year actually. So I think that piece is important, that is ignored. So passive income is extremely important. It is no longer passive, it is almost active. It is a very important part of what we do. I talked about life expectancy. The other aspect is career accidents. Careers today can be cut short because of something that you did not anticipate. So kya karo? Then all of us have some expertise. By the time we are 50, 55, we have built some lifetime of expertise. That expertise will go away with us. So why can't we monetize that expertise? So like the coaching part that you described, I do charge for my time there, very minor charge. But that minor charge is just to make sure that there is some filtering of people who come to me. Right. But that I'm monetizing my expertise. I have some expertise now in that area, so I'm monetizing that expertise. Right. That is in a way income, passive or active. It is an additional income. So why not? So these few things I would add to, I think, passive income.
Right. Yeah. So Anshuman, what are the reliable and proven ways through which people can generate the passive income? And what are the misconceptions do you think that people have when they talk about passive?
So see, the fact that we are interested in passive income means we want less risk. Right. So if there was risk, then it would no longer be passive, because then you have to manage it on a daily basis. So फिर वो no longer is passive, because then you are actively managing that money. Therefore, it is no longer passive. So example being traders. Traders are actively managing their investment during the day or income. So it is no longer passive for them, because that is their job. Right? So उनको छोड़ देते हैं. That we'll keep aside. For regular employed people like me, I would think that investment is the most useful passive income. Invest heavily, invest in sectors, invest for long term, invest in good stocks or balanced mutual funds where this will give you money, or dividend stocks, or some this kind of a portfolio. So I think investment is the most important one. The second income, which is slightly passive, is sell your expertise or create digital products which can sell without you being selling it. So many people are selling courses these days. Many people are selling digital products like books or other things. If we can do something like that. But I understand that is not possible for everyone, because you need a certain level of expertise. So ये दो तीन मेरे, this is important. Investment, for most people, I would strongly recommend that please don't ignore investment. 50% पहले invest करो, बाकी बात करो. That is enough for all kinds of passive, active, जो भी आप बोले. So just to cut out the jargon for everybody, have some kind of a mindset that पहले 50 करना है. That is sufficient. So one of the misconceptions is upwards that, or pitfalls, is that getting too emotional about money, thinking of money as a taboo topic, not to be discussed. I think that leads to a situation where our generation or previous generations have not been able to multiply their money. Right. So if we are mindful about and clever and clear about talking about money as an important aspect of life, I'm not saying it is the most important aspect, but it is very important. Right. So वो एक misconception or pitfall है. And the second is not keeping track of our money, Sonam. So that is, I feel very, very sad. I know personally, I know people in my family, friends, colleagues, जिनको पता है कि where is their money. They have 3 or 4 bank accounts, small amounts in every bank. And it's a very sad situation, I think that. And this happens because of the perception and the unthinking about money as a 4-letter word. And I keep repeating it because I want that sensation that पैसे के बारे में सोचिए. That will be very important. That is a huge pitfall. And please talk with your children, anybody listening this, talk with your children, family members about the importance of money. Of course, first educate yourself, because you should talk the right thing. So that these would be some key points, Sonam.
Right. So I think we've covered a lot of ground here, Anshuman, and it is always amazing to talk to you, because you give the simple lessons that actually can make such a huge difference in somebody's long-term life and their long-term aspirations.
और इसका कमाल है तो in life, as you get firstly thank you for your input, but the way I see it, that whatever we are learning, if we are sharing, the learning multiplies. Right. So if I have learned something, if I keep it to myself, it will erode it will depreciate over a period of time, it will erode. But if I share, my own understanding will amplify. So if we have that mindset, all of us, then I think we can all learn together.
Perfect. And so I think this was an amazing discussion. I think a lot of people, listening will learn these important lessons. And Anshuman is very active LinkedIn creator, right? He's part of the group of creators that I work with, and he has a Manage Better show, he has a YouTube podcast, and we will link all of this in the description below. I would request everybody to sort of follow this. And thanks a lot, Anshuman, for coming.
Anytime, and thank you for this opportunity, Sonam. I don't talk about financial or personal finance so openly, because I have till recently felt that there is no need. I am not an expert, but I do realize now over the last few years that I do have a story and a point of view which can be useful to many people, and thanks to you, I can take this to many people, and hopefully some will learn. And all the best, and may your money grow.
Wow! So that was a wrap on our session with Mr. Anshuman Tiwari. Anshuman Tiwari is a financial sage, whose brilliant insights in frugality, insurance, investment portfolios, and the importance of passive income can help us do so much better in our daily lives, right? These are so simple concepts that Anshuman has practiced so well, and that can take any investor's journey and any individual's journey to the next level. If you guys would like to know more about Anshuman, follow him on LinkedIn. He's a LinkedIn top voice. You will see so much good content coming from him. Visit his website, managebetter.in, which has so much good insight, as well as you can look at his YouTube channel, which is all linked to this podcast. Do remember, like Anshuman says, that money is not just a four-letter word. It is a language, and the more fluent you become, the better you will become at your personal finances. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for our next episode. We'll unravel more about financial wisdom, unravel more about the markets, and until then, let's learn from Anshuman. Be frugal, save more, manage your wealth better, insure yourself for your loved ones, and make your money work for you. So take care, and I'll see you in the next one.